so 2023 is coming to an end. And I think a great way to close this year is to talk about the books I've read this year. I have to be honest, I was supposed to read 25 and I've read just 11. So it's just a little bit like, oops. But I just wanted to talk about those that I've read and what they brought me in my head, in my thinking, in my life. As you can see, I read only 11, but that's okay. We're gonna start like chronologically. I just added 2 more because I've read them at the end of 2022 and I don't know, they brought me a lot, so I feel like it would be a good idea to put them. I placed them in 2022 just to be like, I completed my challenge. The first one is They Both Die at the End. This book is so good. I bought it for me and a friend of mine because I was going to the US and I was like, you know what? Let's have the same book and we can read it at the same time. You follow those 2 characters growing up in a world similar to ours, but in their world, you receive a text the day you're going to die. You receive a text being like, you're gonna die today, enjoy your last day. The 2 people who are going to die are like young boys. They're like, I don't know, maybe 18 or 20, something like that. And in this world, there is an app for people to connect for their last days or for people to just like, who want to help people having their last days enjoy it. It said so much about like not being scared to love intensely, because there's so many times where you're just like, I'm not gonna tell them I love them because it's too early or stuff like this. This was the part I was thinking of. Okay. People have their timestamps on how long you should know someone before earning the right to say it. But I wouldn't lie to you no matter how little time we have. People waste time and wait for the right moment, and we don't have that luxury. If we had our entire lives ahead of us, I bet you'd get tired of me telling you how much I love you before I'm positive that's the path we were heading on. But because we're about to die, I want to say as many times as I want. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I just think it's so cute. Yeah, really what I've loved is that there were so many characters that were on the side and were still so beautiful and so important. It's just how every teeny tiny thing impacts other people's lives. It's just like so fun to read other people's point of view who are not the main characters but still impact the story. I think it's an easy read in the way that it's a lot of cute love and everything, but it's hard to read because it also involves death. But it was great. I don't know, it was so positive to read and it was like good crying. I cried a lot in this book, but it was good crying. I don't know if it makes sense. Then we have this one. I already talked about it in a previous video, but I didn't really like it. I was like, it's a beautiful book and I hear about it everywhere and it's romance, so it must be easy to read. It was about this girl whose parents have been in an unhealthy relationship. Her mother was beaten by her father and her father died, and she's like around 20, 21 maybe or more, and she's opening her flower shop and she meets this guy who ends up being abusive to her when she promised herself to never go in those kinds of relationships. And at the same time as you develop this story, you develop the story of their parents, of how violent they were, but more in the point of view of Lily, because at the same time when his father was violent with her mother, you follow the love story of Lily and Atlas. I was disappointed about how domestic violence was treated. I said it before in a previous video, but it's so important to, when you talk about subjects that are so difficult like those, to think about what you say. And there was no moment in the story where the mom of Lily, who is being abused, and her mom also was abused before, never in the story her mom or anyone tells her that Ryle, who's abusive to her, is not loving her but is manipulating her. There was the sentence, something like, I think I talked about it in the previous video, but it was the sentence of, he loved you but not the right way, and no, he didn't love her. Again, like I keep repeating that, but he didn't love her, he manipulated her. When you see that on TikTok, people think he deserved a better ending. I'm just like, guys, just we're talking about something so serious. You cannot say this knowing that so many women are beaten today and say that Ryle deserves a better ending. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. I liked the part with Atlas, but again, I think the topic is really, really tough and there were not enough trigger warnings, I guess. It's just a very tough subject. I'm just like, it should have been handled differently, I think. Okay, now we move on to the 2023 real books that I've read. I started with this one. I started the previous one in 2021 or 2020, I don't remember. But it's about the time where I started to read because I had a friend in my life who was reading and I was admiring her and I was like, I want to read too. And I started to read from that point. And I liked it so much that I was just like, you know what, I'm going to ask her for more books. And those were the kind of books that she recommended me. I have to be honest, I didn't really like it. I bought the second one because I was just like, okay, I'm into it, let's finish that. I haven't finished it because there's a third book, but I don't like the main character. I feel like she's a little bit of a pick-me. I don't know, maybe it's just me. And I don't like love triangles. I'm just like, I used to love it when I was a kid, but now I'm just like, I don't like it. It's kind of toxic, all those love triangle things. It's just not my thing anymore. Honestly, I forgot everything about the story. Like, am I going to continue reading this? Probably not. Sometimes it's good to just abandon and spend time on books you really want to read. Okay, then there's a book I don't have with me, but it was called Where We Go From Here. It's this book. And it was like a sort of like love and friendship story between those boys. Honestly, I don't have a lot of memories of this book, but I have my review written. I gave 5 stars somehow. I'm a very easy 5-star giver. Like, I feel like I give 5 stars to every movie I watch, every book I read. So I wrote, that was amazing. One line I didn't like is, you already apologized to him, yeah? In all kinds of ways. And did he listen to you? He did, and he said he forgave me, but also that he didn't want anything to do with me anymore. That's not forgiving if he really likes you. And I didn't like it, I think. For the rest of the review, I was like, excuse me? It's forgiveness enough. You don't have to get everyone back in your life if they hurt you. You don't need to like take people back in your life for it to be forgiveness. You can just forgive them and let them go. Sometimes you have to let people go if you feel like it's unhealthy for you. But big slave for the cool single boss mom. I guess there's a cool single mom in this book. That's everything I will have for you for this book because I don't remember a lot. Then I've read Anne of Green Gables. I was watching Anne with an E and I loved this show so much. You have no idea how much I loved it. Like, the energy of Anne of Green Gables is just like, it's just a powerful, dreamy woman, and I just love and connect with her so much. You have no idea how much I connect with this girl. It made me so happy to read these kind of things. I really liked it, but I think it was really long for me. But there were moments that were so nice to read. Marilla at some point is describing, in her head, she's describing Anne, and I think the way she's describing her is just the most beautiful way ever. She's like seeing Anne with her friends, and she's talking about how beautiful she thinks she is, but not in first sight, you know? Through the book, she's talking about how hard it is for Anne to accept how she looks because she's a red-haired girl and she has been bullied for her hair, she's been bullied for who she is and everything, and for her energy and everything. And the way Marilla describes her at some point in the book, she's like talking about Anne being amongst all her friends, and all her friends are beautiful, but even though they're like physically beautiful, Anne has something that makes her even more beautiful, and I think that's all her passion and all her energy and all her positive thoughts and the way she always wants to improve herself. I just loved the character of Anne from beginning to end. It was just an adorable character. Maybe I'll read the rest, but for now I'm just like neutral about this. Then we have No Exit, and this is a book that my friend gave me. It was her favorite book and I really liked it. Basically, it is this girl who is stuck in a gas station, I think 2 more guys, and the 2 people holding the gas station, and they're locked, the 5 of them, and at some point she's going to go to her car and she's going to see in the truck of one of the guys a little girl that is kidnapped, and you can see she's not okay and she's trying to save the girl. I cannot describe the book and how it goes because it is going there and there and there and there. It was moving all the time and it was like, I honestly finished it so fast because every time something happens, it's just like adrenaline, and you want to read more and you want to read more and you want to read more. I swear I couldn't stop reading this book. And the ending, I was crying. I was just like, no way. And then the twist at the end, I was just like, what the hell? And I feel like there were twists at every single chapters. Every single chapters you were shocked by because there was something happening and you were just like, what? It never stopped. I swear it never stopped. It was really a good book to read. I enjoyed it a lot. And I really loved the relationship between the girl, the main character, and the little girl. It was so nice and so cute, and I love when like women are friends, even though there's an age difference, because there will always be something pure, I think, about those kind of friendships. I cannot explain, it's just how I feel, and I loved it. The next one, I don't have it, but it's You Belong to Me. The cover was making me think of this one, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. I don't remember a lot about the books, I'm not gonna lie. It was like mystery or something, and you were a thriller, maybe? I don't know how to classify books, I'm so bad. The main character was trying to find who killed this person and everything. But I learned something really interesting. I've read a similar book maybe 3 or 4 years ago. It was called Pretty Girls. If you read this, be ready because it's really trash sometimes. Not trash, like it's tough. It's violent and sometimes it's hard to read, I have to be honest. I remember at that time when I've read this book, there were so many interactions between men and women where I was romanticizing it when it was just like simple, easy conversations. And reading You Belong to Me at my age today made me realize that I could see those interactions that back in the days I would have romanticized, but were actually not really romantic. And I think that's something I'm really grateful about being friends with so much people from the LGBTQ+ community, is that they taught me so much about love and helped me to like detach from this idea of love that we give straight people all the time. You know, it's this idea of if there's a man and there's a woman, you have a chance. And my whole life I had a hard time talking to boys because I thought this way. And the LGBTQ+ community helped me so much to detach from this and see real love and real attention. And you see when people are truthful to you and not just like saying a random shit that don't really mean anything. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so grateful to be friends with people from the LGBTQ+ community. They brought me so much, I swear. Then we have this book. I've read The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and Queen of Nothing, and I love them for having a badass main female character. It was just so good, you know, to have like this very strong female character and have Carden who was just like, he was kind of silly, you know? Like, he's kind of silly. I love that, to have like some space for women to be strong. I wouldn't say he's sunshine, but when he drinks, maybe he's a little sunshine. In this book, you follow the story of Oak, who is the little brother of the main character, Jude, in The Cruel Prince. And you could see they were still young, and I love to read those kind of stories when love is not always referred to with sex. I love when love is just pure things that young people could do and would still be considered as adorable, you know? It's just like, I love it. And still, you have this girl who is so broken at the beginning because of so many things that happened in her life, but she is going to win confidence in herself. She's going to like grow so much, and at the end there's this moment of like, you lied to me, you're gonna regret this. And she becomes the second baddest woman you've ever seen in those books. No, okay, there's a lot of baddest women in The Cruel Prince, but one more main female badass character, I couldn't ask for more. And she has blue hair, and I think that's really cool. I wouldn't have blue hair, but I love the fact that she has. We follow this trans homosexual man. It's more a boy, I think, because he's 17 or something. I don't know how to describe this story. Maybe I should just read the inside. Okay. When his traditional Latinx family has problems accepting his gender, Yadriel becomes determined to prove himself a real brujo. With the help of his cousin and best friend Maritza, he performs the Quince's ritual himself and then sets out to find the ghost of his murdered cousin Miguel and set it free. However, the ghost he summons is actually Julian Diaz, the school's resident bad boy, and Julian is not about to go quietly into death. He's determined to find out what happened and tie up some loose ends before he leaves. Left with no choice, Yadriel agrees to help Julian so that they can both get what they want. The longer Yadriel spends with Julian, the less he wants to let him leave. I wouldn't say it's an enemy to lover, but at the beginning they don't really like each other. Okay, what I don't like in the description is that Julian is described as the bad boy, and he's just a sunshine character. Like, he's adorable through beginning through end. He's just adorable. And there's so much about culture, there's so much about magic, there's so much about LGBTQ+ community. It was just a great book and so sweet. Again, it's the kind of love that I absolutely adore, when it's just like cute interactions and it doesn't have to revolve around sex and everything. Like, this is so boring. Just like, stop that. Just bring us real cute ass relationships like in this book. This was perfect. It's an easy read. It's fun. I have to be honest, I predicted the ending, but that's probably because I'm reading young adult and I should probably not be reading this still. Okay, if you hear someone speaking in the back, my father and a friend are downstairs, and actually his friend is speaking a little loud, and he's speaking a little loud too. But we're gonna try to do it with this. Then we have Gallant. I don't know if you've read that, but oh my god, this is so good. It gives Tim Burton vibes. I don't know how to pronounce it. I feel really dumb because it's supposed to be a big person, a big name. So it is this orphan girl who is mute. Do you say mute? She cannot speak. So she speaks in sign language. She lives in an orphanage. She's a really weird child from the beginning. You can see it. She gives Wednesday vibes, but without the audacity part. When her classmates are just like bothering her and bullying her, she puts spiders in her bed, and I feel like that gives Wednesday vibes, but at the same time she's not like going to be as sassy as Wednesday is. I think I like to just read books where the characters are young because you know it's going to be pure and soft, and she one day is going to receive a letter from Gallant about her uncle being like, you should come back, and she's sent back there, but she discovers that the person who wrote the letter is dead. So how did this letter came up to her? And you discover so much about this house. This girl also sees ghouls, and I think ghouls are so cute. Like in the book, they were so sweet and they were so harmless. It was as if the horror was beautiful. Things that look scary are turned into beauty, and I love those kind of things. It's just like, it's my thing. I love it. I've read this one. It's based on a book. I have to be honest, I didn't give it a good rating. Like, I gave a good rating for the drawings because you can see, like, the drawings are just so beautiful. It's just, wow, I love it. I honestly took it because it was beautiful. I have to be honest with you, I took it because it was beautiful. I didn't care about the story. I was just like, you know what, let's go. What I didn't like is that they meet, they fall in love, they get married, and they have a child. All in one book. How can you have all of this so fast? For me, it's a no. It was just like, take it out, it's so weird, don't do this. As it was based on a novel, I'm like, maybe that's why it's going so fast. I don't know, I didn't really like the story. There was like some stuff I was just like, If I have to comment on the drawings were beautiful. Next we have a book that I think it is a book that might change my life. It's called Queenie, and it talks about the experience of a black woman in the UK. And it says so much about how black women are way more sexualized than white women. Sexualizing for me is giving a sexual dimension to something who is not meant to be sexual. That's how I would define it. It's probably not the best definition, but I want to precise this because I had this conversation with some people in my class not a long time ago, and they were just like, sexualized, what does it mean? And they thought it was just like dressing sexy. But yeah, you see all her stories. My favorite part was when she went to therapy. I was so happy because she deserved so much. She deserved to have a peaceful mind. And I know it's difficult. Healing will always be difficult, like for everything. Educating myself on the subject too, because it's education. When you're part of a privileged group, it is your job to educate yourself, because how can you help if you don't know what it is and you keep asking the same questions they've been answering their entire life because they are living this issue? It's her job as privileged people to educate ourselves on subject that touches other people's lives that might not be our lives, but it's their struggles in their lives and struggles that we'll never have. We need to know what it is if we want to help them change things. That's my way of thinking. I've been criticized a lot about this idea of you should educate yourselves on subjects where you're privileged, because people think that I do it just for fun. They think that I educate myself on those subjects just for fun and because I love it, and they were comparing it to like learning about the stars and learning about science, and I'm like, no, that's not the same thing. If you like science and you want to learn about science, go ahead. And if you don't have to do this, but we are talking about things that impact other people's life, and it's so important to educate ourselves on those topics, because how do you want to live with others if you don't understand their struggles and how our society and how it's built is making them struggle? We need to change things. And if we want to change things, the first step is educating ourselves. And this book taught me so much. There was the sentence in the book that I have to read to you, because I am a feminist, and this sentence I feel like it's a sentence that works for every kind of fight. So Queenie is at that moment where she argues with a man she met on a dating app. He seemed really nice and everything at first, and I saw the red flag immediately when they met. I think he slapped her ass or put his hand on her ass without asking, something like this. There's this moment where he says something a little racist, just something racist. And then when she notifies this, he's like, oh, you're one of them. And she's like, one of what? And he replies, one of those Black Lives Matter girls. Basically, they're going to argue, and wow. There's this moment at the end where she's just tired because she's been repeating the same things over and over again. 2 hours. We debated nonstop for 2 hours. I kept my coat on. 120 minutes of me having to explain why the Oxford English Dictionary definition of racism that he kept waving in my face was tired, how racism is systematic, how reversed racism was not a real thing, why it wasn't okay to refer to his Senegalese friend Toby as black as the ace of spades, while he tried to counter and manipulate all my points and say at the end of every other sentence, but don't listen to me. I just like to provoke. And then she replies something that I just loved. She said, "That's the thing about people who love to play devil's advocate," I shouted. "There's no emotional involvement in it for you. There's nothing at stake." And she makes her way to the front door and she says, just before leaving, and I'm just like, Queen. She said, "It must be nice to be so detached from a life that someone like me actually has to live." And I'm like, I needed someone to say this. This is why, as privileged people, we need to educate ourselves. Our privilege is to be detached from a life where those kinds of suffering might be every day. And if we stay in this detached state and we don't educate ourselves on it, we will never understand what they're going through and we will never be able to help them with what they're going through or support them. I'm going to refer this as me as a woman because that's what I can talk about. When I talk about feminist subjects with men, there's a lot who are educated and I absolutely love them and thank you for that, really. But it's so frustrating to talk with a man who is not educated on this subject, because not being educated on subjects that make my life more difficult every day, it's a privilege. It is a privilege for men to not know about those things. It is not a privilege for us to know about those things because either we live it every day or we see it on social media every day, or her mothers or her friends are like, be careful because this, be careful because that. Have you seen how many people were the R word? There are so many times where you cannot escape these things. It is a privilege to not know about this experience. It is a privilege to not live this experience. And it is a privilege to be detached from this life and have the luxury of not knowing about it. Because it's such a luxury. You have this space in your head where you're not worrying. I don't know, I swear this book was so good and this line changed me so much. Because it described everything I was trying to say for so many years. I know it's different in the book because there's the dimension of the fact that the main character is also Black and she has to go through more things than I have to go through. I will never understand, I think, everything about this book in an experienced way because it's things that I will never experience, but it still helped me so much to read that. It was so interesting, it was so beautiful, it was needed. Thank you, Candice Carty-Williams. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm sorry if I'm not. Thank you so much. It was a great book. I enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed it so much. Last book, Percy Jackson. This is the last book that I finished, but there's like a sort of last book. That is The Invisible Life of Addie. I want to talk about it a little bit because it's such a beautiful book. Percy Jackson, it was just like, you know, the show was coming out and I was like, you know what, let's read it. I've already read the first one, I haven't read the rest, but I'm definitely reading it for 2024. I will read the rest. I need to read the rest. I saw the first movie a long time ago and I thought, this is Percy Jackson. Then I read it and I saw the ending scene with Ares and I was like, okay, that is way more badass. Why did they remove a fight with Ares for a fight with Luke? I have nothing against Luke. I don't know where his story is going because I've just read the first one, but like, bro, you see in the new Percy Jackson, the trailer, Ares on the beach. I know this fight is coming. We've all seen it. We know we're going to have the fight. Like, I watched the 2 first episodes and it seems so faithful to the book. We're gonna enjoy this a lot more. Now that I read the books, I understand why people were disappointed by Percy Jackson the movie. Now that I've read this, I know why people call Percy Persassy. This bro is just insulting gods through the entire book. He's just talking to them like shit. He's just like, he doesn't want to be bullied, and even if a god tells him to shut the fuck up, he's gonna open it. He's gonna open it, and I love it. I love how bold this guy is. And again, it's the books that I want to read more, where you have kids' stories and you're sure there will not be any weird sex-related stories. It's just like, it's just pure stories, really cute stories with young characters, and I need more stories like this in my life. Please, please. Oh, it's just everything I need. I'm not like censoring smut or anything. I feel like if that's your thing, that's your thing. But I feel like, especially in young adult, we should stop putting smut in it. If you want to read those books, make sure it's the age of the people who are reading it. Removing the censorship around sex is really important. We need to talk about it and everything. But I think it's also important to show these kind of love that are in friendships also, who are just like pure and cute and everything. I love how this book is feminist without spitting feminism in her head. In a way that I love books who are spitting feminism in my head. But sometimes it's just perfect to see it through life and through examples. And there's so many times where this book talks about feminism in such a beautiful way. It's this girl who's immortal, but is forgotten by everyone. One day, she's going to meet someone who remembers her. 300 years she's going to spend them alone. How hard it is in like 1714 as a woman to live alone and be forgotten by everyone. It's really damaged, though I have to admit. I took it everywhere and I feel a little bad about this, but Addie is so passionate and so dreamy, and she talks about everything that she loves, and I'm just like, oh my god, she's adorable, and she just loves to discover things. She's curious, she's passionate, she has all those qualities about herself, and she's determined to live a life that will make her fulfilled and that is going to surprise her. And that is so beautiful. I swear it is so beautiful. What scares me is that it's happy and I still have all of this to read. Don't kill them. I think someone is going to die. I am going to make a full review of this book in another video. I'm going to try to finish it before 2024, but that was what I've read this year. Again, I was supposed to just read 25, but a lot of things happened in my life which led me away from what I wanted. There are so many times where people come in my life and I forget about myself. That's not good. That's not good. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was so nice for me to share all of this with you. I hope it tempts you to read more, because honestly, if you don't read at all, I used to not read at all. It is so good to read again. I feel so happy because books are not just words on pages. It's so many stories and so many things to learn and so many things to discover and so many dreams and so many, I don't know. I just love it, and I hope that through this video I tempted you to read a little bit. I don't know, you tell me. And don't hesitate to tell me what books you've read this year or what books you intend to read for next year. Maybe we could read it together. I don't know. We're just a small community for now, and I love it. We're not a small community. I think we're 132, which is a lot for me. And I'm so happy because every comment I receive is so adorable. I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for making this YouTube channel a safe space and for respecting each other. Like, I don't know, I really like this place and I really love this channel and how you guys interact and how you guys stay safe and how you guys are just like, I don't know, you sound really adorable. I wish you a great new year. Stay positive. I'm sure 2024 is going to be a great year for all of us. I don't know why, it's just like the way 2024, it looks pretty and it's an even number. I feel like it's going to be a great year. Anyway, I have to end this video somehow. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you next week for a video. I still don't know what it's going to be about. Again, take care of yourself and I hope to see you in the next video.